works.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coding and Philosophy podcast.
I'm here with you all.
I'm here with Tri,
Yeah.
and whoa, there's some weird sounds happening. Technical solution. Sorry about this. Okay. Now it should be working. No, can we turn this off?
Yeah, sure. It's all right.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'll pull up my notes and I'll make another intro. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coding and Philosophy podcast. Take 2. I'm Juho, and here is Tri. And
You take my chance of introducing myself, but that's okay.
yeah,
I'm Tri.
yeah. Well, we introduced, but yes, this episode, I think I'm gonna tell you about Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah,
Yeah. The journeyman to the underworld.
exactly.
Okay.
So, back in the day, back in Renaissance days, was it 1700s, somewhere like that?
Yeah, the Renaissance.
I think it was Renaissance. There was a writer called Dante, something. I don't remember his.
Oh.
He has a Italian. I think he's Italian.
Okay.
And an Italian last name. And he wrote this book called The Dante's Inferno, which basically it has the main character with this guide, kind of like a Gandalf, but the main character and the guide travel to hell and see all the levels of hell.
Yeah, how does it start? How does the journey start?
Well,
It's someday Dante was like, oh, I'm so tired of my work right now. If only I can go on a vacation. And then he saw like, what's the options to vacation? Spain, Finland, Sweden, hell. I'm gonna go to hell.
That's what he did. It's not Dante. It's the main character. I don't remember his name.
Oh, Dante is the guide.
Dante. No. Dante is the guy who wrote it, right? Dante's Inferno.
Oh, I see. So Dante's Inferno refers to the author, not the main characters.
Exactly. So the main character, whose name I can't remember, he journeys through hell, and the point which I understood, it ranks different sins and different evil deeds that you can do into an order, because some evil things are worse than others, and the way the hell is structured from level 10 to level 0, it depicts how
I find it funny because we often associate hell to be a chaotic place, but it still have a structure. So the most chaotic that we can possibly imagine actually still have a structure.
Yeah,
like an organization.
That's true.
Yeah, continue please.
And let's put it this way: there's only so few really, really good people. There's only so few really, really, really evil people.
Oh, the outliers of the outliers.
Yeah, so basically the further you go down into hell, the less room you need, right? It's kind of like a pyramid.
The inverse pyramid, yeah.
Yeah, inverse pyramid.
Okay.
So the most people in hell are in the upper levels. They aren't that evil, but they're still in hell.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
But the actual amount of people, the amount of people who committed the highest level or conceptualized crime is very few. They are the baddest of the bad.
Exactly.
Let's get into this.
So on the first or the 10th level of hell is something called the limbo, which is it's in the outskirts.
Yeah.
And the people who go there, they haven't really done anything bad in their lives.
Yeah.
But they also haven't done anything really good in their lives either.
That's called the limbo, okay.
Yeah, so they haven't really been, or the way I would describe it, they haven't...
A state of ambivalence. Continue.
Yeah, they haven't been tested. Because if you go through, let's say you go through life without having really that much challenges, really that many, obstacles you have to, overcome, well, you're going to end up in limbo, because there was no point, even though you didn't do anything wrong, you still didn't have to do anything virtuous, something
Mm.
good, something like you didn't have to be brave at any point of your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're not really putting yourself out into danger, and you're not, you know what I mean?
Okay, so life is how is the life in limbo? Is it just as monotonous as the living life because there's no absolute bad and absolute good? So how is the life in limbo?
Well, every single level has some, like, I don't remember exactly what happened, like what the punishment
No,
is for being in limbo.
actually, I'm actually interested in those.
Oh,
See,
damn it! I
to
wish I would have like done more research on this,
oh,
on
it's
the
okay.
actual.
We can save that for another
Through that, through that.
episode.
So limbo, like, and this is, to me, this is all symbolic,
Mm.
and you know, like
Oh, I see. Symbolic. Yeah.
heaven and hell, it's all like symbolic to me, meaning that there's some deeper meaning, deeper
Yeah.
understanding you can gain from like reading about it or understanding. So limbo is the like where you go after you you haven't really done anything bad, you haven't been tested, and if you say the worst thing at the bottom of the hell, you know, the worst of the worst.
Oh, let's go one by one. Let's
But
not.
I don't remember all of them. I
you,
wish
you,
I,
you only remember the first one and the last one.
I do. Well, let me Google it
Yeah.
quickly.
Okay. Let's walk them one by one. Hold your horse.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's do like a proper list iterations going from index 0 to in the last index of hell.
Yeah. So let's see.
Yeah.
Overview. First circle is limbo,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's Virgil. Oh wait, no, it's Dante. Dante is the guy. Okay.
See.
I didn't know. See, look, I don't know.
So
I don't know
yeah.
this. But Dante is the main character, and Virgil is the one who leads him through. Virgil.
Yeah.
So
That's Gandalf.
mm.
Yeah. Dante decides to go for a vacation to hell. Let's go.
So the second circle has it's lust, or that's the people who committed the sin of lust.
Yeah.
You know, which
It doesn't sound too bad.
yeah.
On the second tier. Yeah.
So it's not really and like
Or-
seducers and
Does index start at 0? So this is like the first one and the previous one is like a 0th.
well, something like that. So yes, second is lust. So let's say, or how I interpret it is that let's say you just are lustful for lust's sake. You know, you're not you committing the sin of lust is if you kind of just led to your primordial instincts, desires. What do you call them? Where you're, for example, not in a relationship, but you have like these flings with other people, and like, you know what I mean. You're just you know what I mean.
I think I understand the word lust.
Yeah, just defining it a bit, and also explaining it in my head. And the third circle, or like what comes after that, is gluttony.
Gluttony.
Yeah.
Whoa. To be gluttony is more severe than to be lustful.
Yeah.
I don't know who give the weight to the sins, but okay, please continue.
Yeah, well, what would make it more worse? I think maybe I don't know what would make it worse. They're both kind of the same because you both have a need and you're fulfilling it, right? Yeah. But anyways, they're kind of on the same level. And then after that comes greed. So, which I think that's it's a good ranking, right? Because greed, if you're thinking this from a societal level, if you have a nation full of lustful, gluttony people,
then it still multiply.
Yeah,
and
they're
people are still
more
happy.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But if you have people who are greedy or side, so they like the impact of a greedy person is worse or bigger than a lustful or gluttonous person.
You can say that, yeah.
So
The greedy people accumulate power and assets to themselves, and only to themselves. It doesn't seem so multiplying from a society perspective.
yeah,
It just make one individual more and more prosperous rather than the community prosperous.
and also if you think about lust, it requires two people to commit the sin, right? Right?
So we have two sinners.
Exactly. So
Holy shit.
so it kind of the
No,
weight
but
of the sin is less.
not necessarily, because to how can I put this, to actualize your operations to carry out the greedy sin, you need an entire organization, like a mastermind and a scheme that involves a lot of stakeholders and people to corrupt with you.
Yeah, but still, the if you think about the evil act of being greedy,
Yeah.
you do that by yourself, right? At the end of the day, it's or you cannot be or lustfulness. You always need the other person, so you share the sin. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think it makes sense in that from that perspective
Okay,
why it's
but we are not here to discuss if the weight of the sin is correct or not. We are here to travel to hell. So continue.
yeah. So after greed, there's wrath, which is
Wrath.
basically violence.
Anger. Yeah.
And this is what I do remember is that there's a distinction between violence against other people and violence against yourself.
Oh.
So
interesting perspective.
It's worse to commit violence against yourself than it is to violence against other people.
Oh, okay.
Which to me that makes sense because what limits my violence against another person, it's the other person's like resistance to it. They don't want to be kind of attacked.
Yeah.
But there's no limitations if I commit violence against myself.
No limitation, as in you can increase the magnitude of the violence indefinitely. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why in my mind it's a worse sin to commit violence against yourself or a more evil thing.
Is there example to illustrate to be grateful towards oneself?
Grateful.
Graph.
Well, suicide or for example. So let's say
fair enough.
Yeah, if I kill a person, it's not as evil of a thing as me killing myself.
Is there any other form of this sense towards oneself?
What do you mean?
Other form apart from suicide? What can be other illustration?
Well, wrath. Basically, me going up and beating someone on the street.
Yeah, that's towards other people. Yeah.
And also, there's another, like even worse than violence against yourself is violence against nature, God, or art. So people who just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, the anarchist and vandalism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's, more evil. I mean, this is debatable, but according to...
I can see. Have you watched Pinocchio yet?
Pinocchio. A long time ago.
A long time ago. There is a scene of complete anarchism where the boys are supposedly introduced to this amusement park where they can do pretty much anything and indulge in anything. And there's one scene that the boy just destroy a cathedral. Like there's a cathedral and the boy just smashing things, throw bricks onto the glass, and all of those arts are broken. Like, they are destructive, and directing a part of their grave, I would say, with much enjoyment and sadism to destroy one supposedly ethereal church.
Yeah. And the thing about it, you're destroying someone else's creations or the creations of a kind of a group, right? But if you just commit wrath against another person, you're not really it's. I mean, to me, it makes sense. It's not as bad to commit wrath against people than it is for the creations of people.
It's not as severe.
It's not as severe. I mean, it's more severe if you commit violence against the creations of people than the people themselves.
Okay. Oh, actually, I'm not interested in weighing the severity between two options like this. I'm more interested in a journey towards a deeper level of hell. So
Sure.
can we continue?
And the next level is heresy.
Heresy.
Yeah.
Heresy.
Exactly.
So I have some intuitive understanding of this word, but I cannot describe it with my mouth. So I see heresy. It's to commit opposite things that, for example, your religions or the rules, to go against the dignified thing of a religion.
I would say, yeah. Well, I mean, it's all up for interpretation. My interpretation simulates where, let's say, everyone has their value system and they do actions based on it. But if you go against that, then you're committing the act of heresy
against yourself. Yeah. Oh, that can. Yeah.
So that.
Do you find that if we, for example, if you're in an organization and you doesn't follow the organization value and culture or even rule, are you committing heresy towards the organization?
No, because I mean, this is all, I look at this like individualistically.
Okay.
Meaning that if I'm in an organization that does things which I don't believe in, I don't agree with, then I'm just gonna either try to kind of go, hey, what about like try to change it, or I look for another organization.
I see.
Which more closely aligns with my values.
Okay. Well, I think I may need to understand more of the heresy in order to understand this layer of badness.
Yeah. Well, a heresy, just not acting or not living up to your values or like living against them, actually. Because I think there's something, if you're not, it's not the same thing as not living up to your values or living against them are two different things. All right? So, yeah, that's the next step. And, next one is violence, which my interpretation actually, I thought that was wrath. I guess it's...
Actually, wrath may not necessarily lead to violence. Wrath often leads to violence, but they can be separated. Some people wrath, but they don't act. That's called, I see it as passive aggressive. They harbor wrath, but they does not necessarily exert that out. But definitely, there's something in their mind of anger and wrath and that kind of sensation.
Yeah, they might not use violence to when they are wrathful. When they are wrathful, they might use violence, but they don't always have to. So, yeah, passive aggression, all that stuff, and then there's the violence.
Yeah. So if you are grateful and you are anger, and then you act on violence, you just demote yourself from this layer of hell to another deeper level of hell.
Exactly.
So funny. Or you have to pay both. So you spend a long chunk of the time at the bottom of violence, and then you cannot go away for, but you have to come back to the great layer. So you have to suffer on two layers because you commit both. So for each crime you committed, you have to go through all of the layers. You're not necessarily go just the most severe one, but you have to go through every layer that you committed.
I think it does it work like that?
I think it hell. I don't know. I'm not the hell organizer.
I'm not. You're not the organizer of hell. Okay. Yeah, we need to get Satan to come here and to be on the podcast, so that he could explain. But yeah, and it would make sense, like symbolically. I think it would be nice if
of course, symbolically that.
Yeah, and let's say you your punishment is equal to the like wrath you inflicted upon other people during your life, you know. So yeah, and then after that is fraud.
Okay.
So basically forgery and all these kinds of, so basically all panders and flatterers and people who people who lie and people who like here's what I think when I think about someone committing a forgery. Let's say I'm walking down the street, and this has happened to me, and then a guy comes and says, "Hey man, can we talk for a minute?" I say, "What's up?" And then he starts explaining about him, and then eventually starts talking about how, oh man, things are really tough for me. I just came from Ukraine, and
he's asking you for money.
Yeah, but he doesn't immediately say,
of course,
money.
He built up a story.
Exactly. Which to me that's, and when I said no, then I saw his entire demeanor changed. He was no longer. He became angry, and that's when I knew, oh, this is an act. He puts on an act so that he can beg for money, basically, or commit forgery. Which that's what I think about, like when I think about forgery, which is different than, let's say, you coming up and saying, or like not, but if a friend does forgery, that then it becomes betrayal. You know what I mean? So if a stranger, because me trusting the person and giving him money, I'm just being naive. I'm just being foolish, you know? So there's no really, it's not as bad of a sin to trick people like that as it is to betray your friends, right? And also the, like, what you say, bad politicians go there as well, I would say. Oh, that's, would make sense. And then, okay, then the final level, it's treachery, or betrayal, basically. So basically, if you, like, that's, I thought about this, how if you betray a friend or betray someone, why that's the worst sin is because that requires trust to be destroyed. So that's why someone like, well, biblically talking, Judas is there, or Judas committed the act of treachery, or aka betrayal. And if you read, do you know Berserk? Yeah.
Yes, I follow that series.
Yeah. So Griffith from Berserk committed the act of
betrayal.
Yeah.
Because I think he himself felt betrayed. No, not. I think Griffith, at the very moment of succumbing himself to the evil side, is still ambivalent, and he has not decided yet. But the moment when he see, I forget the main character in the Berserk, Guts, and something happened in his mind that act as a catalyst that catalyzes him to actually succumb to the evil. And something tells me that perhaps he felt betrayal as well.
But I would say from objectively, without thinking about how he felt, like objectively that's a betrayal.
Because he felt betrayed, so he betrayed others.
Well, it's still betrayal, right? And still, the people, I don't agree with, actually. I don't like Griffith at all. I think he's one of the worst characters you can have in history.
But they build the character as well. They build, the narrative has built Griffith to push him to the top of the top. So he becomes a leader of the elite squad, right? So he has almost all of the glory, all of the things he has ever dreamed of. And then they commit the narrative, make a fall, like Lucifer. They make him drop from here to the bottom of hell, and then even further to become an agent of evil. Yeah, so I like that narrative. Yeah.
But anyways, the point is, he commits betrayal. And that's why it's the the worst sin because the other people, or whenever you have a person who's trusted or in a trusted position and he betrays that trust, that's when it comes the worst sin you can commit, right? Yeah. So that's the, and then, well, in the final level is basically the center of hell, there's, or Satan, who committed the ultimate betrayal against, well, God itself.
Which is,
well, he betrayed the, he, if you know the story of Adam and Eve, Satan was the snake, right? And then he's the one who convinced the Adam and Eve Eve actually, to betray God. Like he was there working against, you know? So that's the ultimate betrayal because you got the guy who made things happen, you know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
What do you have in your notes?
Well, something which, kind of thinking about this, made me think how, well, if you think about the sin of lying, or lying in general, I think how simple the world would be if everyone would or everyone was bound to their words. Meaning, whatever you say you're gonna do, you also are kind of bound to do that, or you have to. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
That would simplify a lot of things.
Yeah, but but human nature is more complex.
Yeah.
You can try acting according to that basis, and you know what? That sounds to be like a personal exercise. You try to act that access out during your life, and you you evaluate by noticing how the life surrounding you manifest.
What do you mean?
So if you act according to that value that you just proposed yourself, just yourself, and then that is your experiments, and you aim to observe, and then you observe how the world surrounds you changes or manifests accordingly when you follow that principle of living.
Yeah, it's gonna be a better world for you if you do that, or if you live by
I
that.
don't know. Maybe it leads you to a worse place. This is an experiment after all, and for me, you have to conduct the experiment and let the reality be your teacher, right? Because there's no guarantee that acting as if in this world we have all the Asians player as well. The one with not having the same principle and orientation as you. They exist in the world, and what I mean by that, if you try to be that kind of players following this principle, and then you interact with all the things in the world and see how life around you manifests, and you can evaluate that if this is the right principle for you to abide to strictly, or it's a good principle, it's work for the majority of the time. Meanwhile, you maintain a flexible with other strategy of living in all the time.
Well, I would say and I think I understand what you mean. There's always gonna be liars. There's gonna be people who, when they say one thing, they actually mean another.
Yeah.
But even, I still think the best move you can do in the game, in the game of life, is to basically be bound to be always truthful. I don't see there's ever a reason to lie. You don't have to, basically, when I say telling the truth, it doesn't always mean that. Like, there are some, you have to be subtle, you know? Because if you just tell the truth all the time,
you're pretty naive.
Yeah, you're not being subtle with it. You have to. You can leave things out, right? But you must always tell the truth. You can't lie. You know what I mean? So you don't say. You tell the truth, but you kind of. if the person wants to know it.
Mm.
If I'm how do I explain it?
All right, let's put that into an experiment. Actually, let's not sit here and try to philosoph and come up with a underlying principle of philosophy of life. But if you have an idea, then just try to do it. Let reality be our teacher. Then
I don't understand what you meant.
implement it.
Yeah.
Live accordingly. Don't just hear and try to figure out like principles and formula and the good way of living. Just live.
True.
Yeah.
I think those are good words to end the podcast.
All right.
So thank you for joining to this kind of scatter.
It's not very scattered. It's actually having a structure, actually.
Well, yeah, there was a structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for another episode and see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.